Hi BookTube. So as the month is quickly winding down, reading is more and more on my mind. Not that I don't already, my day-to-day life plan for lots of reading. I'm just more aware of the fact that I only have a couple of days left, and so I have just been, dabbling in all the books, trying to get them done, and I don't want to have, too many or any really left over, as October comes, because I have all the plans, in October that I want to get to a whole new clean slate of books. But yeah, let's get into what I read today. I read Don't Call Me Ma by Sam Churchill, and this is about it's called it seems to be about the mother, and it kind of is, because it starts out with his mother grew up in Boston. Here's a picture of her. It's like a proper lady. She wasn't rich by no means, but then she meets her husband, who is vacationing back to the East Coast to visit his friends and family, and meets her because he is stationed. He has jobs in Oregon, like way out in the wilds of Oregon, in like the Douglas fir forest area. And so he brings her to a place where there's no electricity, there's no running water. Eventually they do get running water, but it's like piped from the creek right nearby, and so it's just like a pipe, and so there's all sorts of critters landing in her home by that. Like she talks about filling up a water picture, and there's a frog that just jumps right in there with with the water and different things like that. So that was interesting to read about, because they have to be mobile, because when they're stationed in like a area, when they're logging the trees, and then once the trees are gone, they have to move everything to the new location to chop those trees down. So it was kind of hard to read in that sense, because the author lived past the parents and is writing this book in 1970s. And this mostly is taking place during the 1910s. But so yeah, he talks about how his family, his mother and father, especially the father, was like, oh, I can see these trees for miles and miles. There's no way that my job was ever going to end, basically. There's always going to be these trees here. But then when it comes to, Sam, when he becomes an adult, he decides to go back into the family business of logging after trying a couple of different careers. And as you can tell, even at that point, that there's no way it's going to last. It lasted to in the 1940s, and then that was it. It was a huge depression with logging. But it makes me a little bit sad, because I'm driving around here. I live in Oregon, and there is some spots where you can see just the stumps, just acres and acres of that, and it's you see the leftover unwanted wood that's piled up here and there, and it is sad. But if I keep my mind away from the logging stuff, then the story was really good. And there are some pictures here showcasing what it was like. And he talks about the food is really good, the cafeteria area, and how the mother had to get used to how they ate, because the logging camps, they would sit down, eat their food, and then leave. 15-20 minutes they would eat a bunch of food, because you can just imagine how many calories they were burning. But she was kind of creeped out, because all you could hear really is the clinking of the plates and spoons and forks, but that was it. And so it kind of startled her, and so she herself did a lot of cooking. But I thought I'd show some of the pictures here. Let's see what I can find. They're sprinkled throughout. But there's the creek. Okay, the creek where they got their water from. And let's see. They do have some pictures of the camp here. Here's one of the trestle where they're moving the logs from. Let's see if I can find some more real quick here. Because the pictures are in black and white, so it's hard to see the setup that they're in. And a lot of the houses, even though they look like placed houses, they were all on these wooden logs that you literally just roll them to the next spot. And there was a picture of that there somewhere. But here is the family, mother, father, and the little boy. And then here is the author himself as an adult. And what I thought was interesting too, because reading the little inscription here, is his wife decided to kind of create her own publishing company just to reprint her husband's book. This is after he had died, I think. decided to reprint his books, and so she created her own publishing company to be able to do that. So I think that was really cool, because this book, it was written in 1977, I believe, but came out, this book itself was printed like 1998. Yeah, so I thought that was really interesting. And then as far as a reread, I'm reading, I can't pronounce these names to save my life. Oresteia, I read the first play, Agamemnon, by that name. And this is a reread for me. I'm like, so I read the first one. I'm going to read, second on Thursday, and then, finish up on Friday at the end of the month. But this is like, tragedy, like, play where Agamemnon, he I don't want to give it away. I don't know if you can count that for this classic, but he does something really bad, basically. And, his wife is not having it, and, seeks revenge, like revenge is sweet kind of deal here. So that's all I'll say with the play. There's a lot of material in here that I have just skipped entirely. I can know, like, the Penguin Classics often have a lot of, background, like history, all sorts of things, all sorts of analyses and all of that. But I just went right to the play. But yeah, that's available to me if I want it. We'll see. So there's that one. And then the other, real quickly, I'll talk about, and I think I mentioned it a couple times, I've been hit or miss with talking about the audiobooks that I've read. Because I do listen to, like, I don't know, 1 or 2 a week. Most of the time 1 a week. But this one was really short. This is The Land by Vita Sackville-West. Oh, it's really white. Really bright. But, let's see. There we go. I've never read anything by Vita Sackville-West. And I have borrowed a couple of books from her, from Hoopla, because I'm always trying to dabble in poetry. I try to read like 1 collection a month is my goal. Sometimes I do more than that, depending on how long it takes me to get through one, or, if it's present in my mind kind of deal. But it's always like kind of in the back of my mind of I do want to get more comfortable with poetry, because it's not my realm of expertise by no means. But this one, she really liked gardening, and she was, she's living in England. And so this is like a description of nature and the outdoors of England in her area, but told through like lyrical poetry. And I listened to this on audiobook, but I think I would have gotten a lot more out of it if I had read it physically. I think probably that goes to, for a lot of poetry, if not all poetry, I would rather listen to it, read it with my eyeballs, because I have a hard enough time, like fully digesting and taking it all in. But yeah, it was pretty good. But I for sure want to reread that book and move on to some of her other works, because I feel like she's like a famous writer, and I recognize her name, but yeah, never read her before. But yeah, that's what I've read so far today. I didn't get any other clips really, except a cute one of Fable that I will insert here, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks, BookTube.